Good morning, world. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. And happy Saint Valentine's Day. Yes. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of Up You with Ezine. How you all doing? How are you all doing? I hope everyone is good and celebrating the bonds in their lives. Despite it being a working day, it's still St. Valentine's Day. So, yes, and if you all remember, our theme for February is empowering bonds. Empowering bonds. The idea of empowering bonds reminds us of the transformative power in relationships, whether they are romantic, familial, or even just ordinary friendships. This morning, we'll be exploring that theme further under the topic Empowering Africa. An empowered Africa will be a formidable force in the world, don't you think? Okay, so it's up you with Azine, and I'm here to keep you company as usual. So let's do this, my beautiful people. Finding self, finding purpose. My name is Ezine Kanem, and I'm your host. As always, I'm thrilled to have you on this show today. Our topic is Empowering Africa, a very intriguing one, if you ask me. Empowering bonds refer to those connections that uplift us, inspire us, and give us the confidence to pursue our goals and dreams. These bonds foster a sense of belonging, acceptance, and understanding, allowing us to develop personally and reach our full potential. They provide a safe space where we can share our vulnerabilities, seek guidance, and receive encouragement. On this episode, prepare to be inspired by the story of an empowered woman whose love for Africa, her home, compels and propels her to get up every day and run for the causes she believes in. No one but us, you and I, can empower ourselves and then empower our continent. Be kind to follow us on all our social media platforms at OP with Azine on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and X. We'd love to connect with you and keep this conversation going long after this episode has ended. Please like and share the stream. It is one way you help our ministry so we can continue to serve you better. Thank you, everyone who's joined in. I see you. So, the topic today is empowering Africa. May I remind you that all episodes of Up You with Ezine are up on our YouTube channel, our podcast channels at Up You with Ezine. Be sure to follow us and don't miss a thing. It's time to bring up our guest. Yes, into the studio. Stay with me. This is Up You with Ezine. If you're just joining us, this is Up You with Ezine, and our topic today is empowering Africa. Our guest today is Karima Rhanem, a Pan African multi award winner, journalist, social activist, and human rights defender with a focus on the rights of women, youth, and children. She has won over 36 awards at the national and international level on her various engagements. Karima is the president of the International Center for Diplomacy and CEO of Africa, My Home. An expert in public policy with a focus on gender related issues, she's also board member of several Moroccan, Arab, and African multilateral organizations. Since 2017, Karima Rhanem has been nominated every year by several organizations among top 30, 50, and 100 influential and inspiring young woman leader and CEO in Africa. She has also been named Humanitarian Ambassador in Africa by the World Habitat Ambassadors Foundation. In 2023, she's been nominated among top 100 inspirational women by the World Movement of Pan African Women and Girls Leaders and among 100 Iconic African Leaders by the New Africa magazine. Dear listeners, everyone, please join me in welcoming a very special, delectable guest today on the show. Good morning, Karima. How are you?
Good morning to you, and good morning to all our viewers and listeners from all across the continent and also from the diaspora. And happy Valentine to everyone.
Oh, yes, I see you're even dressed in the Valentine color, and
Yes,
that makes you pop
definitely.
even some
Some
more.
positive energy.
Yes. So, from me to you, Karima, happy St. Valentine's Day.
Thank you so much. You too.
Good. So, how is Morocco this morning?
Well, I haven't get out of my house, but I always get out with a very, very positive energy because my day is very full of meetings and also field work. So I'm just excited today. I'm working full day in Valentine, so it's just very interesting to um, to have this type of work.
Thank you. We haven't even started the conversation. She's already dropped the first nugget. You have to wake up every day positive. You have to wake up with positive energy and expect the best from your day. Thank you. You see, I told everybody that this was going to be a very, very power packed, conversation, and you just pick that up and you're vibing already. So there's no point asking you, are you ready? So let's just dive in, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, good. So, Karima, could you please share with us your perspective and your understanding of today's topic? I'm sure you were like, you didn't say anything when I told you what the topic was, but so I'd like to know what hit you first when you saw the topic.
Yeah. Well, actually, empowering Africa is the core of what I'm doing every day.
Mhm.
Let me say that I'm Moroccan, yes. I'm proud to be Moroccan, but I'm Pan African. I'm embracing Pan African values, and I work on almost a daily basis with different African organizations, more specifically on women and youth empowerment. So, this is the core of what I'm doing. Empowering Africa for me is leading change reflected in public policies, whether at national or continental level. And this change is done by Africans with Africans for Africans. It means that when you empower Africans to own their own solutions, this is very important. Instead of waiting for foreign aid or foreign assistance, we don't say that it's not good. It has been good. We benefited from a lot of international benchmarking, but this international benchmarking is just something that we learn, and we need to contextualize it in our local policies. So definitely empowerment is one of the core objectives that we need to do in Africa in order to translate the legislation and also policies on the ground on at the practical level. So we need to empower Africans to own their own solutions and to make change with their own local people.
Thank you very much. There was something you said that just hit me like a bolt. You say something you're doing for Africans with Africans, carving out solutions, for Africans. So we're going to take best practices from all over the world, but distill it to become ours. We own it and then we use it in such a way that it empowers us. Sometimes copy and paste doesn't work, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely. Let me say that one of the thing that made a lot of policies fail in Africa is the copy paste. So we need to
Mhm.
learn from best practices and lessons learned all across the world, but we need to take into consideration our local culture, our sovereignty, because that is very important. The context and conditions and the society, the people, the philosophy of different countries is not us. So we need to learn how to be more inclusive, including all different stakeholders in order to build collectively our policies to make a real change on the ground.
Brilliant, very brilliant, very, very brilliant. Karima, your work spans a wide range of areas. In fact, when I was looking at your profile, I was like, hello, how does she do all of this? From
I'm
civil
asking
society
myself the same thing.
development, you know, from civil society development to policy advocacy and media communication, I can see your footprints everywhere. Can you please share with our listeners a bit about your journey and what drives your passion for these courses?
That's a very good question. And sometimes people ask me, what is the secret? I said, there is no secret. The first
Oh,
thing is that you need to believe. You need to have a dream, and you need to be able to translate your dreams into ideas, then into objectives. Then you fight and work hard on it to make it happen. Because, sometimes the path that you're choosing is not that easy, especially for women, because we are fighting different mentalities that are blocking our emancipation, our empowerment. But at least you need to believe on what you're doing. This is the first key to success. Never submit, because failure will happen anyway. So failure in our life is important because it helps us learn from our mistakes, and it is standing point to success. My motivation was, first of all, I was a journalist, and I used to document people's lives. And throughout documenting people's lives, I get across a lot of inspiring, but also very sad stories. So I had that motivation to change the situation. So not just by writing and shed lighting on their stories, but I needed to do something. So I started volunteering in different organizations, and I have chosen to work to empower young people and also work with women, especially in marginalized areas. So I started in the field work before, coming to work at a high level or in different conferences between closed doors, etc. But my core work was in the field, working directly with people. So I wanted to use my skills to change people's lives. Then after that, I have chosen to work in civil society development, because I believe that they contribute greatly to make a change in the field, but they needed capacity building. So this is where I shifted from journalism communication to public policy. So actually, I worked with civil society in advocacy in order to change legislations and policies, because my message to them was, it's okay to protest about something. We always, needed to change, needed to fight for something. We wanted eh, um, to say to our policymakers that this is not functioning, but there is a way to say it. And protests is not the only solution to make a change. So you need different other types of mechanism to do it. So this is what I've been doing for the past almost 10 years, is to teach them the mechanism, how to dialogue with government, how to dialogue with local government, how to make efficient advocacy, how to be a force of proposition in order to propose alternatives to change, and to be a value added in the process of policy making.
whoa, that's a lot. So, and well done. So you move from documenting and telling stories to actually trying to get the policies in place to ensure that the stories that you told, or the stories you talked about or you shared, that those lives were impacted, empowered, and changed in such a way that the marginalization ratio will be reduced.
Yeah.
That's almost like you went from theory to practicals.
Yeah, definitely. And I wanted to say something important in this
Mm,
process, coming back to
mm,
empowerment, is that we work to empower people themselves who have been impacted to make their own change. No intermediaries. We need
yeah,
to bring them the capacity, coach them, and let them do their own changes by themselves for
selves.
sustainability. Yeah.
Because that is the only sustainable kind of change, the one that
Yes.
comes from within you, for yourself and by yourself. Well done, well done, well done, well done. This is really amazing. So please, could you share a pivotal moment or experience that sparked your passion for advocating for the rights of women, youths, and children?
Well, actually, there are a lot. It's hard to choose one, but I would say all the work that I've been doing with women and youth to change the legislation for equality in Morocco. And of course, these important best practices, we shared it at the level of North Africa and also at the level of other regions in the continent. The idea was to work with young people and with women in order to propose amendments to the legislations. When I talk here to the legislation, I'm talking to big legislations that are very controversial, like for example the family code, the nationality code, policies related to equality, the legislations related to the fight against violence against women. So and because there are some articles in the legislation that have controversy with between human rights and also religious aspects, dependent on how we interpret the text and how the perceptions of people. So you needed really a big advocacy to change first mentalities and perceptions, but at the same time, a lot of work that you've been doing with government, with parliament, and with politicians in order to advance these laws. And I think we managed actually to be more efficient in making uh, alliances and coalitions to be one voice in order to change these legislations. And I think these are one of the most important achievements that we made, that actually made the policy framework very important. And we managed also to reach out what we called a productive partnership with the government. So it
Mhm,
means that our
mhm.
work as civil society organizations is a prerequisite to any policy, and also our work is complementary to what the state is doing. So the state needs civil society in order to move forward with different changes, and also to
Yeah.
link it to the population.
Okay, brilliant. Twice on the show so far, you've used the word inclusivity. And I just said, okay, let's just go there. It's almost as if the International Women's IWD, International Women's Day 2024,
Mhm.
consulted you in carving out their team for this year. The team is Inspire Inclusion. And all that you have been describing just shows that all that you are also striving for is to have everyone included in how things are done so that lives will be impacted. Um, the narrative is changed and everyone feels like a part of humanity, a part of movement. Nobody is sidelined. Can you speak to us about the International Women's Day team vis-a-vis the work that you do?
Yeah. Well, I would want to start with a quote that says, teach me how to fish, but don't give me a fish every day. So it means
Mm-hmm.
that if I want to empower people, I need to include them in the process. I need to teach them how to do it instead of speaking on their behalf. So today, I think, in my opinion, every policy or legislation cannot be done for us without us. It means that people should be part of the whole process uh, of making a policy. It means that a government needs to launch a stakeholder and public consultation with all the citizens in order to collect their opinion about this type of policy, include civil society organizations, and also the people that are concerned with the change, because they are the ones who have been touched by the change. And I can give you a project that I've been working on in 2023, and I give you a perfect example of what we mean by inspire inclusivity. We made a project called the Voices of Young Girls in the Reform of the Family and Penal Code in Morocco. So, what we meant by their voices, it means that young girls are the ones who have been affected by all the problematic articles in the Penal and Family Code related to the minor marriage or children's marriage, related to violence against women, related to affiliation, and a lot of different issues. However, these young girls
Sorry.
are not part of the dialogue, or always, big scale organizations are speaking on their behalf. What we have done is that we empower these young girls, especially 15 to 24, in order to meet with stakeholders, to meet with policymakers, to meet with judges, with lawyers, in order to understand the issues surround the legal issues surrounding the problems that they are facing, and propose alternatives. So we needed to listen to them. We empowered them to propose solutions. We coach them in order to make them by themselves write these solutions in a legal way, and we help them connect to policymakers. We make them meet ministers, government officials in general, members of the parliament, and also the royal commission that was in charge of revising the family code. So, and if when you see how these girls were shy at the beginning, could not be outspoken, could not really voice their opinion, and you see them how they advocate for their rights by themselves before the government officials and the members of the parliament, and try to give them arguments, this gives us hope in this generation. So if we provide them with the opportunity and may include them in the process, we will have a generation of young people that are advocating for themselves, with the decision making with the decision makers, and making real and actual change on the ground. And that is the goal of what we should do with this generation, because we're preparing for the future generations as well.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, great. For a moment, my internet glitched up there. So you were saying the last thing I heard was that is the goal.
Yeah, I
You wanna
said, I mean,
repeat?
that's the goal of empowering this younger generation in order to prepare also the ground for future generations. So that is the core of inclusive policies. Nothing for us is without us.
Thank you very much. One thing that I took out of what you said is you cannot be talking about inclusivity without us. It can't be done for us without us. And I especially like the fact you now have empowered these young ones that you mentioned between the ages of 24 and above to be able to speak for themselves. That means that they now have a voice of their own, and they can actually, speak their 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 needs into
Yeah.
being. So they are no longer silent. So the silent culture is being broken by the work that you do. And honestly, there is nothing as powerful as when a group of persons, young people, women, children, can actually advocate for their rights. Now, that is true empowerment. I really hope that other people from other African countries who are watching, who are in the civil society field, space, are listening and taking best practice. It is best to empower the people that you're advocating for so that they too become a voice alongside you, and then you gather momentum, and then you find that you get things done even much better. I applaud you. I applaud you,
Thank
Karima. And
thank
I
you so
am
much.
very, very, yes, and I'm very, very sure that this is why you have been recognized with several awards, because your
Yeah.
dedication, you know, and everything is truly inspiring, So, can you just tell us, please, can you just share with us a specific initiative or project you've been involved in that you're particularly proud of, and the impact it has had on the communities it served?
Yeah. Well, actually, I've been involved with a lot of projects. Let me say one of them. There are a lot, but I would say during COVID-19 crisis,
Mhm.
I've been involved a lot with young people, and at a certain time, there are many young people who lost their jobs during COVID-19. And of course, the psychological impact was so high. And I just had an initiative with young people called Shopify Your Talents. And
Mm.
the idea was how to bring these young people who are staying home and doing nothing, they have no revenues, no hope, in order to discover their own talents. So basically, we work with these young people in order to discover what they can do, what they know how to do, because sometimes people don't even know what talents they have.
Yeah.
I myself, at a certain time, discovered that I know how to paint, but I never painted before. So throughout time, I worked on this skill, and I started becoming a drawer and a painter. So basically, bringing the best out of them and Shopify their talents. It means what is the principle of Shopify their talents? Shopify your talent is to make advantage of the digitalization and try to sell their talents online. It means that I know how to paint, I can show people how to paint, I can earn money. This is not big money, but at least you start with a small money, and then you develop it. You know how to sing, you know how to teach certain subjects, etc. So people started discovering, first of all, that they know how to do something, and then they enjoying doing it, so they're killing their time, and at the same time they're earning money. So This, I think, it has a lot of impact, more specifically at the psychological impact, because people who have been losing hope, they started believing in their capabilities. They started, thinking about their goals in the future, and started thinking about how to improve their projects and make a business plan. So for me, this process has been very, very important, and we have seen the changes in these young people's lives. So I think this is this is among the initiatives that we have done. And the second one, also during COVID-19, with civil society organizations uh, who don't have resources. So, during coronavirus, all funding have shifted to corona, and many civil society organizations have no resources. So what we did is we tried to leverage partnership between different organizations, and we do what we call shared economy, or a crowdfunding, but crowdfunding adopting it to civil society organizations. So it means that you are an organization, you don't have resources, you need a communication expert. Me, I don't have resources, I need an accounting expert. So we exchange. So I don't have to hire, I don't have to spend money, you don't have to hire. So we make a value of the services, and we exchange. If the service costs more, then I add more services to you. In this way, you're not stopping your work, I'm not stopping my work, and we collaborate together and we maximize the impact. So these are the things that we tried to think maybe outside of the box and try to do something on the ground.
Interesting. I was just listening to you and I was just saying, I like how Karima breaks a complex social challenge and makes it very simple. With your first example, it looks, as you're talking about it, it looks very simple, but it was actually very complex because
Not simple.
coronavirus, yes, COVID-19 era was such a terrifying era that most of us were inside our homes, petrified, and
Yeah.
with all kinds of theories flying left, right, and center. And most of us were paralyzed and we didn't know what to do. But there you were thinking, what do we do? We need to still keep empowering people, whatever the case might be. And then you took that stuff of people not being able to earn and people not being able to know what it is that they have as talents, and broke it down in such a simple way that I'm sitting down here and saying to myself, how come you didn't think of that? You see, I'm beating up myself for not thinking like you. Oh wow. So well done, Karima. Honestly, um, you are such an amazing person. So
Thank you
could
so
you
much.
just tell us, and you mentioned collaboration, and that's where my next question is going to come on. How do we foster collaboration and cooperation among diverse stakeholders, even country to country? What you just described here now. So I need an accountant, and so you need this one. How can we do what's that? How can we scale up that so it goes maybe between Morocco and Nigeria, between our civil society spaces, so that we can do what? We can actually further simplify these complex social issues and get the change
Well,
that we need.
yeah. Well, a partnership is one of the SDG goals anyway. And
Mhm.
international partnership is important, and interregional partnership is important, because partnership is the one that makes us strategize about resource mobilization. You cannot function without resource mobilization. And resource mobilization, you can have different sources of funding, whether funding when talking about money, or we're talking about expertise, or anything in kind. So you need really to know what you need, and how this partnership could be of an added value, and how can you maximize impact, because you have a goal to either to make a profit or for non-profit to make an impact, a social impact. For example, when I started working with Nigerians, you know, I came to Nigeria. I discovered how organizations are working. I learned about their lifestyle, their culture, how they're making things happen, best practices, lessons learned. And I say, hey, well, there's a great talent here. So this is something that we can learn from, and we have something also in Morocco to transfer to Nigeria. So what we started doing first is we started meeting, then we started organizing conferences. I've been participating in a lot of conferences in Nigeria, and also I organized two big high-level summits in Morocco where most of the participants were Nigerians. So from these partnership, then you sign productive partnership in order to do things on the ground at the practical level. So you start, to foster partnership, you need to know what you want. And interregional partnership is important because South-South cooperation is now the core of diplomacy in general. And I think we have a lot to give to develop our Pan-African value chains. We have a lot of talents. We have a lot of expertise. Before we used to look for experiences from Europe, from America, etc. But we have a lot of talents in Africa. So we need to explore it. We need to exchange. We need to give ourselves an opportunity to work together, to advocate together, to change our legislations, to change our continental policies, to benefit from the openings that we have, whether at the level of trade, at the level of policies, at the level of development, in order to transfer this knowledge and work together. Because what we talked about at the beginning of empowering Africa is we need to look at our solutions instead of looking for working with an organization outside of the continent. I need to privilege working with an organization in my continent because we share culture, we share values, we have different languages, we have different practices, but still some of the core values, we have the same things. So we need to start from within to change our realities together, and partnership is the key.
Thank you, because I have been interviewing a lot of women from a lot of places all over Africa. And at the end of the day, irrespective of what country, the geographical location, our issues are always almost similar.
Same.
And
Yeah.
so there is, like you said, we have a lot of shared values, and we could leverage on that by partnering with one another, each other, to be able to draw out the things that we want. And that brings me to ask you, what does Africa, my home, do?
Okay. Well, actually, Africa My Home started with just an idea. It was in 2017 when I went to Tanzania, and I was called for an award, and I was the only young Moroccan to receive that humanitarian award. And I was really inspired by how young people made this summit, and how they mobilize people all across the continent, and how they are so proud of their Pan-Africanism. And we were having a conversation, and we said, yeah, Africa should be our home. It's our home. We need to work together to build this home. We need to work together to build the foundation of this home. So, well, we are from different countries of the continent. It's like when we are in the same home. We're brothers and sisters, okay. We are from the same parents, okay. But we're different. You could be Muslim, you could be Christian, you could be atheist, you could be anything, but still you live together in the same home. So this coexistence is important for us. We need to cherish our diversity, and we need to see it as a motivation in order to build the foundation of this Africa. So diversity is not always something that brings people apart. It could be something that makes us bring our different expertise and perceptions and perspective into the table in order to build something that is for all of us. It's something that is collective. So this is how it started. And then I just told them, well, Africa, my home. Let's make it in Morocco next time. So it started like this, and it was inspired actually by the speech of His Majesty King Mohammed VI when Morocco returned to the African Union, when he said, "It's beautiful to come to my home. Africa is my home." So we worked on building the whole summit based on this philosophy of Africa, my home, and we brought almost 150 or 200 people from 42 countries into Morocco to discuss the AU Agenda 2063 and UN Agenda 2030. And after that, we said, okay, we need to develop our types of development goals, African goals. And then we say, okay, let's not make it just a slogan. We need to make it happen. We need to make something. I mean, we organize a lot of conferences with beautiful declarations and statements, and then nothing is happening. So, okay, let's make it happen. Then I started thinking. Then after that, Corona happened. So I needed to make a little bit of stop, but okay, I said, let's make it legal. Then I founded it from the legal perspective in order to start working. And then I started working on a gender empowerment, gender studies, and also women and youth empowerment. And but at the same time, I reserved part of Africa, my home, to volunteering, of course, because it's a kind of social enterprise. And one of the most important thing in the work that I'm doing is that I'm employing, according to different projects, I'm employing more women and young people in the projects, because that was the core of what I've been doing. So this is how it started.
Interesting stuff, and I pick out, as always, I will always pick out something. And I picked out, we can have unity in a diversity. And you see that imagery that you just painted? All of us are from the same family and we live in this big house. Every country is like a room in this big house, in this continent. The continent is this big house, and all the countries are rooms. So you can imagine you come out of your room, and then you just see Morocco. So you open that room and you go in there, and then you see Ghana, you open that room, and then, and on. It's amazing. As you were talking, I was just imagining that, when will this happen? When will all of us just become so empowered that we can
Mm.
actually all now sit down at the table and not just have conversations, but actually now put power behind the conversations, and then see those conversations translate to action, and see those actions become real in the productive lives that we have touched and that has changed, so that, Africa can actually truly be the giant that it is. My
Yes.
goodness, your words just brought the whole thing alive before my eyes just now. Thank you, Karima. It is no wonder that you actually do make meaningful change in the areas that you have chosen to work in. And it's no wonder that you have garnered almost all the awards there are in the world. It's just no wonder. What do you attribute your ability to do all of this to? Because it
What do
can't
you
just
mean?
be your passion.
Sorry,
What
I
did you
didn't hear.
say?
I didn't
I
hear what you
said,
said.
no, I said, it is no wonder. It is that you have garnered all the awards there are to have. And it's no
Mhm.
wonder that you're able to make such impact in the areas that you have decided to work in. What do you attribute your ability to effect meaningful changes in such diverse areas as you do?
Well, this is something I learned from the ground, and I believe in what we call lead by example. But during coronavirus, I learned more lessons. First of all, is I reinforced my resilience, and at the same time, I
Mm,
learned that I need to do different things. I need um, to have diverse skills in order to respond to the changing environment. Because sometimes you're working on something, a crisis happen. The thing that you're working on is not valid anymore, or at least temporarily. So you need to have plan A, B, C, D. So it means that you need to have a bit, of course, you need to have a specialization, you need to have an expertise in something. You cannot do everything, but at least there are some fields that are connected to the primary expertise that you have. So for example, when we talk about communication, we can talk about media, we can talk about a lot of other things that are connected to this. So you cannot do without it anyway. But at least the the most important thing here is that you need to know how to be efficient in what you're doing, with whom you are working, and the strategy that you are using in order to make impact in people's lives. Because it's not a it's not just important just to say nice words to people in conferences, but you need to be able to translate these nice words in order to change people's lives. And sometimes, I meet people in the street that I don't even know. They told me, well, I recall that you did that like 10 years ago or something. You impacted my life by the way you said that, your advice is etc. And said, okay, I didn't even realize that I changed someone's lives. So this is something important when you embrace coaching and transfer your experience, your expertise, your knowledge to this younger generation. Because when I was young, I was looking for advice too, and I was looking for someone who would coach me, who would lead me to the right path. And sometimes you don't find it, and it's important to transmit this to young generation. That's why when I told you, when I make this project, the voices of young girls, now when I meet these young girls, I'm so proud of them, because they are making the changes themselves. In my age, I did not have that opportunity to do so. So if you think this way, I think you would be more impactful, more efficient in the way you're doing whatever field you're doing. You're making something out of it, and you're changing people's lives.
you're quite an inspiring person, Karima, honestly. Yesterday was Radio World Day.
Mhm.
Yesterday, we celebrated World Radio Day. And of course, we all know that the radio, TV, social media, all of that are tools that we use to communicate, effectively. And of course, it's all part of media. How do you believe media can be leveraged as a tool for social change and empowerment?
Well, being myself as a journalist, because I started my career as a journalist, I believe that media plays a very, very key role in policy change in general, in changing public
Mhm,
opinion, in changing mentalities, and
mhm,
also in highlighting very key and pressing issues of the society. So,
mhm,
the role that media professionals are playing are very important. And if we talk about gender roles, for example, so
mm,
either media could reinforce those stereotypes about women and girls, or they could promote, they could promote women empowerment, for example, in the media. So there is a nuance here. So it's either they're impacting, either they are impacting public opinion positively or negatively. And I would say also they could play a key role in connecting people and in making decision makers act. And I remember one of the stories when I was editor in chief of a newspaper. I followed one of the issues surrounding children at one of the orphanage, and the article that I wrote make decision makers act on the violations that happen in this orphanage, and at the same
Mm-hmm.
time it made people and donors contact us in the newspaper to connect them to a to connect them to the victims, to support them. And this is the role that we need to do. So it's an article who made, you know, a an article who raised people's awareness about the issue, make decision
Mm-hmm.
makers act, and at the same time make other people help. And this is a really important a role that and responsibility as well from media professionals to play that role. And in Africa, coming back to the theme empowering Africa, we need to hear more role models in the stories. We always see in newspapers, while Africa backward, Africa whatever, Africa. No, there are a lot of things happening in Africa. Africa is changing. We need to hear positive things. We need to see the talents of Africa. We need to see how people are making things changing in a positive way. We need to see the successes of certain countries. We need to see the best out of of course there are problems, we know all our problems, but we cannot ignore that there are some countries and there are some fields that are much more better than and competitive than in Europe or in America. So, and this gives this generation hope. They see that things are moving, they're not seeing only the status quo. So I think the media could play that role.
Okay. That is very, very brilliant. I think I agree with you as well. The media can tell more positive stories coming out of Africa to help all of us to be gingered positively to keep doing what we're doing. I see that the whole people, the Moroccans are looking for you because you need to step out of your house. So I'm going to conclude this conversation very soon so I can let you go and take your calls and get on with the rest of your day. So,
So,
could you please, as someone who has been recognized as a top 100, 50, 100, 30 inspirational woman leader in Africa, what advice would you like to give to the young women and girls aspiring to make a difference in their communities?
okay. First of all, I would say that women and girls are facing a lot of issues, more specifically cultural barriers. And I would
Mhm.
say, first of all, a strong woman is the woman who builds the foundation with the rocks that has been thrown at her. It's important to use your failure and also your sufferings and your hardship and your hard work as a motivation to make things happen and to succeed. Believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, believe in your ideas, and work hard to make your ideas a project, a real project. And fight, sometimes you will not find people who support you. Well, you will find people who stab you in the back. You will not find people who would fund you, but you should never submit. You have to work hard in order to make your projects happen. That is very important. Second is that you need to think outside of the box and you need to get outside of your comfort zone. Because if you don't take risk, you will never move to a step ahead. Don't be afraid to take leadership positions, because sometimes there are opportunities that are given to women for leadership positions, but women are refraining to get these leadership positions. No, you can lead. It's important, because if you're not part of the process, policies will be done without you anyway. So you would not be a simple consumer of policies. You want to be an effective producer of these policies that are impacting you, impacting your community, and impacting your country.
Thank you. It's time for us to stand up and get into the thick of things. We need to step out of our comfort zones
Yeah.
and get our hands muddied, fighting for the things we say we want. Thank you, Karima. I think that some young girl will be inspired today. I think that some young woman is already inspired and will pick up her batons and begin to bat very seriously for the dreams that they carry on the inside. And to conclude this conversation this morning, I'm going to ask you to look ahead. You already have done the conference looking ahead into 2063, but I'm still going to tell you to go back and look some more. So, looking ahead, what are your hopes and aspirations for the future of Africa? What do you see? And how do you envision your role in contributing to its development and progress?
Well, my hope first is to work with different countries in order to to make gender and equality policies happen, because that is very important, and to learn from countries that have at least reached what we call parity in government senior level
Mm-hmm,
positions, like
mm-hmm,
Rwanda and different other countries. So that is
mm-hmm.
very important. The second thing is education, education, and education, and education. This is the key. You cannot build a future generation, without building the foundation of education.
Mm-hmm.
And the third thing is to fight against child marriage. The place of young girls is at the school and not at her
Mm-hmm.
husband's house. So we
Mm-hmm.
need to provide these young girls with the opportunity to complete their education and to have a career in order to make a change and be effective in contributing to the development of Africa.
Thank you very much. I couldn't have said that any better. Thank you so much for gracing our show, Karima. It was really, really very nice to have you. Indeed, Africa is our home. We have no other one, and we must rise as women to empower first ourselves and then empower others. That is the only way that Africa will become empowered. Thank you so much for all you do, empowering marginalized communities, particularly women, youth, and children. Thank you for amplifying their voices and of those who are often not heard, and also for advocating for their rights and dignity. We salute you and we will keep applauding you. Don't stop, keep going.
Thank you so
The
much.
goal
And I
of
just want to say a warm hello to all Nigerians, because I consider Nigeria as my second home.
Oh, yes, just like we do. We always come to Morocco because you have those beautiful, beautiful beaches and resorts, but it's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The goal is in
Thank you.
sight, so you just
Thank
keep at it. Yeah.
thank
So,
you.
dear Up You Women, today's episode has been truly, truly remarkable. It's one that I will ask you to come back to listen again and again, to watch it and listen again and again. If your life was all about you, all about your immediate environment, then it won't amount to anything. Your life should be bigger than you. And Africa is indeed our home. There is nothing more to add except to say, if each can teach self and then pull up another, we'll be closer to empowering Africa indeed. This is where we wrap up today's edition of Up You with Azine. It's been another amazing one. Please follow us on all our social media platforms at Up You with Azine and put on your notifications, get copies of our books, and don't forget to be a part of our amazing community. Let's continue the conversations offline. Big up to everyone that is involved in creating this magic every week, starting with you, our dear listeners, our guests, and the amazing UpU team. Join us next week for another captivating episode as we continue to explore different topics aimed at empowering and uplifting you. Until then, stay connected with your loved ones and keep inspiring others. Remember, it's still Valentine, so go make someone happy. Show some love. Bye, everyone. Till I see you next week, my name is Ezinekufere Kanem. Up you. Karima, say up you.
Hope you.
Great. All righty. Bye, everyone.